After extremely dark and difficult news, finally a glimmer of hope and unity as President Trump was greeted by roars at Yankee Stadium in Deep Blue, New York City.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
Now, President Trump had been in New York City this past weekend when he attended the U.S. Open. The media and Democrats tried to spin it as Trump being booed. And yes, of course, there were a few boos. It's New York City, but it was still overwhelming cheers. But in this situation at Yankee Stadium, which, by the way, is in the Bronx, and New York City also voted 68% for Kamala Harris, here we didn't hear any boos. It was just roars and cheers for Trump throughout, no matter what angle you looked at. Here's another one. This is particularly notable because last night Yankee Stadium paid tribute to Charlie Kirk, and again he was greeted. The stadium, the fans were very honorable. There were no boos, no heckling, and that shouldn't be notable. That shouldn't be something that we laud, right? Like it's something that you would expect in a civilized society. But the last 24 hours, we've seen leftists celebrating, not just on the mainstream media, but even in our day-to-day lives, teachers, college students. It's really disturbing seeing all of that happen. So seeing this outpouring of support in one of the deepest blue areas of the country, seeing the cheers for President Trump in a time where the country is divided, I think provides a lot of hope. And obviously 9/11, one of the worst, the worst terrorist attack on the country. I mean, it wasn't just a physical attack against us as Americans. It was also an attack on our ideals and, of course, our Constitution, our way of life. And yes, that includes freedom of speech. So I think that it must have been a special atmosphere in the arena tonight. And it was like that even when President Trump walked in. And actually, the reason why President Trump was at Yankee Stadium was because he flew to New York City to commemorate 9/11. And so when you consider just the horrific attacks that happened over 2 decades ago, and then the killing of Charlie Kirk for his free speech, for just, being an American and exercising his rights, I think that it really hit home for the people who were there. And I would like to hope that they realize that, hey, we can't destroy ourselves from the inside out, just like we shouldn't let anyone else from the outside attack us. And I would like to think that this was a moment of unity and a moment of national pride. In fact, the chants of USA, USA didn't even start until President Trump entered the stadium. So when you consider that 3 out of 4 New Yorkers voted for Kamala Harris, well, I think that says a lot. So, as President Trump was in New York City commemorating and paying tribute to the victims of 9/11, JD Vance was flying on Air Force Two with Charlie Kirk's family, as well as his wife Usha, to Arizona, which is where Charlie is from. Now, there is heartwarming footage of Usha Vance holding Erica Kirk's hand as they exited the plane, just showing incredible emotional support. Now, this entire situation, while it's been tragic for everyone, it's been especially tragic and emotional for the people who personally knew Charlie Kirk. And that wasn't just, the relationship that JD Vance had with him. They were actually friends. It's not like they were acquaintances. And JD has talked very publicly about this. And the words he said about Charlie, are beyond gracious. And you can just tell how heartfelt and emotional and genuine all of that is. And so JD Vance himself participated in actually carrying Charlie Kirk's casket once they arrived in Arizona. As Vice President of the United States, he doesn't have to do that, yet he chose to do that. I think that says a lot about who he is and the friendship and the relationship that he had with Charlie. It's just, I saw that and it was just... like I said, even though it's been a dark news cycle, there are glimmers of hope and things that restore, I hope, our faith in humanity in all of this. It wasn't just that moment. Speaking of restoring our faith in humanity, content creators, the news, we've all been seeing it on social media, right? Just how leftists have been going unhinged, celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. Well, as that happens, the darker things get, the brighter the light shines in the darkness. Well, on a college campus, students were literally mocking the assassination. In fact, a girl basically was like, well, Charlie Kirk, he deserved to die because he's pro-life, yada, yada, yada. And she pulled up the footage of Charlie getting shot, and she was showing it around, and friends of hers were laughing, while a girl, a student, was extremely brave, and she basically shut all of that down and said, hey, we shouldn't be laughing at this. No matter your political beliefs, this isn't okay. And again, just I think another moment of hope, another moment of light in all of this.
So Charlie Kirk and David are two and they had this thing. Charlie Kirk was pro-life, about abortion. Like,
why are we cheering for someone getting shot? Like, no matter what political beliefs are, we should not be cheering that someone got shot. He has a family. We do. I value everyone's beliefs, but we should not be cheering as a class that someone got shot. He has a family. He has a family. He has a family. Yes, and who shot them? A transgender person.
Oh, so that's what it is.
Yes. It doesn't matter. You should not be cheering that someone got shot. What do you mean?
You just pointed out the fact that they were transgender. What about straight white?
Yes. You should not be cheering that someone got shot.
Yeah.
And look, I don't want to talk about race because that's what the left does. I know whenever I talk about race, I preface it because it is not my gut reaction to talk about race. That is something that the left feeds on and something that they have monopolized. But the reason I do want to bring it up is because the left always talks about race. They say that Republicans and conservatives and people who defend Charlie Kirk and who defend conservatives, they're straight white males and they're only white people and they're conservative Christians, yada, yada, yada. But that girl right there clearly is not white. To me, she looks Hispanic, maybe mixed, maybe part Asian. It's not as if she's a blonde white girl or a straight white male defending Charlie Kirk. And so I think that's part of the reason why the left is so rabid right now, because they realize that they're losing more and more of their constituencies. And as more and more people realize, hey, you guys are really radical and you're losing your minds. I mean, it's like a snake or a wild animal, right? When are they the most dangerous? When they're backed against a corner. Well, President Trump, before he flew to New York City, he was asked many questions in front of the White House, and as usual, he was very open and accessible to the press. One of the questions we've been asking, and I've even shared my theories on this channel, and like I said, just my theory, just my opinion, just my analysis. I don't know. I don't have any insider information or connections to the FBI agents who are investigating this, but we've talked about, whether or not this was a professional or a trained assassin. President Trump was asked this question, and he did weigh in on it.
Do you believe the killer was a trained assassin? Usually your instincts are always on. I'd rather not say. I think progress is being made. He's an animal, total animal. And hopefully they'll have him and they'll get him. What he did is disgraceful. Charlie Kirk was a great person, a great man, great in every way, especially with youth. And what he did, what this man did, was disgraceful. So hopefully we'll have him and we will deal with him very appropriately.
Usually, when someone refuses to answer and they sort of beat around the bush, I think that the general answer is yes, or, they don't want to answer. However, in this case, because it is an ongoing investigation, not just an ongoing investigation, but the FBI has already arrested 2, potentially 3, depending on what reporting you're looking at, 3 suspects, let them go. It turns out that they weren't involved, as far as we know, or the FBI isn't, publicly stating that they're, keeping tabs on them. But it makes sense, right, that, hey, this is an ongoing investigation, and maybe he just doesn't want to comment on it. And so I don't think that that's evidence one way or the other, but it just indicates that, hey, this isn't just social media chatter. This isn't just people like you and I theorizing. This is actually a legitimate discussion happening even at the highest levels. Well, there is brand new footage for the first time of the alleged assassin. But before we get to that, I would like to acknowledge USMC Car, Rayos 86, Swatchan, Jenny Rankin, Jajung, Lady Gray, Conservagirl Cleo, Wood Dragon Guy, and Greg Anderson as the members of today's Governor's Club. These are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. I am so glad that you enjoy. Well, there is new footage, this actually coming from TMZ, and this is supposedly security camera footage from a house leading up to the university of the alleged gunman. What's really interesting here is, well, multiple things. Number one, TMZ, if you watched my previous video, I can't remember if it was the last one or 2 videos ago, but they were the ones who were caught laughing in the newsroom as they were doing a live broadcast regarding the shooting of Charlie Kirk. And as it was found out that Charlie Kirk had passed, you heard cheers in the background. So it is interesting that this came from TMZ. We don't know, if this is them trying to get on everyone's good side again, and maybe this is them like begging for forgiveness. But it is interesting that they got this before any of the major news outlets. A lot of people have pointed out something strange. It looks like the gunman is limping, but one of the prevailing theories is that maybe he had the rifle, because we know it's not like it was a small gun. The theory is that the rifle was actually hidden in his pant leg, because obviously it would not have fit in the backpack. So if it was hidden in his pants, then that would explain the limp, because a lot of people said, hey, well, if he has a limp, then this person should be easy to find, and it should have been difficult for them to run away from the scene. But if it actually is the gun in the pant leg, that's how he concealed it, then that would make a lot of sense. As always, though, all of this is just my analysis and commentary, and that is what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So what do you think about Trump being cheered at Yankee Stadium? I mean, obviously for me, I am looking at the bright side. I think it's a moment of hope. I think it's a moment of unity. The stadium didn't have to cheer. They could have booed. It could have been mixed like it was at the U.S. Open. I do think it was a majority cheers at the U.S. Open, but there definitely were boos there. And so on 9/11, and in the midst of everything happening with Charlie Kirk, I would like to think, maybe this is me being naive and just trying to look for the good side in humanity, but I would like to think that people there understand that this is bigger than any of us as individuals. This is bigger than any of our political beliefs. If we're to survive as a civilized society, we need to come together, put aside our differences. And hey, the president being there on 9/11, and then you see this political division for everyone to cheer, for everyone to chant USA. For me, like I said, I think it personally gives me hope, and I'm just wondering, what do you think? Am I reading too much into it? Do you think they would have cheered anyways? Do you think they would have cheered any president? Again, like I'm pointing out, this is deep blue New York City. He should be, by all metrics, unpopular and booed, but that wasn't the case. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.